Yeah, by the way, I'm Andrea, as you can probably guess by now, hopefully. I'm going to talk today around how we announce personalization using DBT macros. Thankfully, George explained that DBT macro is, which is great, so I don't have to. I'm going to show you an example of how we basically get business logic away from the main script, store it into DBT macros, and service it to the business so that they can actually interact with it. It should have been a live demo, but it's too risky, so it's going to be recorded. Sorry. So if you don't know DAZN, we are quite big in other countries, in Italy, Japan, Spain, actually quite big. In the UK, not that much. We do have a lot of pay-per-view fights, one of which should have been Saturday, but it's not. Actually, had a nice weekend, it seems. We are referred to, at least commonly, Netflix or sports. So basically what we do is live OTT sport provider. So we basically broadcast football, boxing sometimes, Formula 1, a bunch of 40 apparently different sports, which is quite good. And we are active in 9 countries mainly, but then worldwide for boxing rights. As you can probably tell by our business model, we do have a lot of data, and when I say a lot, it's actually quite big data. Last week I was working on a table, there was 50 billion rows. So when we work with that kind of size, we need to make sure that we're efficient, we need to make sure that we do that for transformation or investment pipelines. We need to build them to scale. It's quite a tricky process, I would say. We have a lot of different data sources. Some of them are in graph, but consistency is quite difficult to achieve when we ingest all of this data. We are slightly different from, for example, DAZN in the way we operate. We have end-to-end data engineering plus analytics engineering teams. So it's more like a full-stack data engineering team. We split into basically 3 parts. We have the extraction and loading part, transformation, and delivery. We do have a business intelligence team / product analytics team for the final part, whereas we have our end-to-end engineering team for the EL and T. We extract data from a lot of different sources, so for example, microservices, external shares. We load as S3 APIs, a bunch of different sources. We load everything to Snowflake. We try to load as raw data as possible. Sometimes we do need to do some adjustments, for example, PI data, or we do flatten sometimes when it's required. So for example, we do flatten Firebase. This is quite a heavy job to flatten, so we do use a bit of like cool technology. That Rich in the audience did some of that, so shout out. The transformation part, very similar to Dojo. We use DBT, again, great, explain what it is, so I don't need to. And as well, same as Dojo, we use Airflow to basically schedule the entirety of our data pipeline. By the way, I planned these with 10 minutes, so if you do have questions, you can just raise your hand and ask straight away. Not too difficult, please, keep it light, but yeah, ask questions if you have. Cool. So in the transformation bit, we do work together with business stakeholders, basically define the logic that goes into the transformation bit. We own the transformation code, but of course we need to rely on business people to understand how we want to transform the data. For example, how we do calculate the HT rate, like how we do calculate the string stable of being high quality. It's not something that we know as data engineers, essentially engineers, but it's something, for example, that the playback team needs to define. And for that, we do have 2 main problems. So first, when we do define a transformation logic within our DBT repo, it might be quite tricky to find. So on the right, you can see a snapshot of one of our pipelines. For example, that is our playback stream art. And if, for example, you want to find out how we calculate the HT rate, you need to open all of those files one by one and try to understand where the transformation is. And if you're not familiar with the pipeline, it's a mess. If you are business stakeholders, it's just impossible. The other problem is, even if you do know the pipeline, even if you're familiar with how it works, if you do want to test how the output would look like if you change something in script, we need to rerun everything. Because let's say that the transformation logic is at the last step, to see what's actually happening to run everything, which again is expensive, it's not very good experience, might take a while. So generally not a great solution. So how did we solve it? Two main things. So first, we abstract all the logic away from the main script and we store it into DBT macros. As we'll see in the next slide, basically instead of having the logic inside the script, we have the logic inside the macros folder. And the second bit, which is quite important, is actually we build a front end so that the stakeholders could interact with the logic, which is quite cool. I am a fan of Streamlit, as probably some of the DAZN people know. Thank you to viewers in the audience that share this passion with me. If you don't know what Streamlit is quite similar to DBT in the sense that it's a Python package, but it's basically to deploy web applications. So instead of needing to do all these quite techy and quite challenging part of defining the app and HTML, CSS, all the part, you just need a bunch of Python, a couple of lines of code, and you can basically have a web app, which is great. Which is actually very good. So these are an example of what we need. So as you can see up, we have a function which basically defines if and then, so basically if a request is genuine or not. Basically what it does is very easy. So we get two arguments, which is the plain time and the startup error, and then based on how the plain time and the startup error are, we either classify the request as genuine or not. And basically what we need is, instead of having that case statement in the main script, we put it away in a macro folder. So why is this useful? So first, because then you know that all the different transformations are in one place only. And secondly, because with the front end that I'm going to show you after, you can actually test the logic without running everything. So this is a snapshot of the front end. So basically on top, as you can see on the drop-down menu, and you can select all the different functions that we use for a particular model. So this is the playback model, for example. You can open the function in Meetup if you want to, so if you want to understand where it sits, in which repo. You do have the code as well that you can interact with. So let's say you want to change slightly code. Let's say that now the requirement for the case is change slightly, so instead of having a 2 minutes threshold for HD quality, you want it to be 3-4 minutes. Then what you can do, you can just like play around with logic, change it. And then the Streamlit app dynamically understands which are the arguments of the function. It got them down. And then you can basically input the values that you want to test for. You can run it, then you can basically see the output of the function given the arguments that you're inputting. And then finally, you can, if you want, raise a PR, which basically goes directly to our team, and you can then review and approve if needed. Up at this point, we should have a back demo, but instead, hopefully this will play out, because otherwise we're not in trouble. I should. Maybe it doesn't. Oh, it does. Okay, great. Okay, cool. So as you can see, there is the drop-down menu. We can, for example, select in this case the HD flag I was talking about. The open on Meetup button basically just opens transformation Meetup, which you can interact with if you want to. You can play around with the code as well, which I'm going to show you in a second. But it's saying here you can input some test values. So in this case, just a random number for the playing time. The article type will be live, feature, catch up. Maybe the event versus basically the type of the article that we're showing. You put streaming time, you just put a value of the average tweet rate, and then when you run it, you actually see what the output of the function with the thing. If you want to change it, you can edit the function, apply it, and then rerun, and you can see that the output value might change. And then at that point, if you are happy with the results and you don't want to have like any further changes, then what you can do, you can just raise the PR, and then just raise the PR and that's it. So if you have any questions, otherwise.